Hi guys, how you doing today? This is D Durrell with D Durrell Life Solutions. Happy to be here once again. It's been a while since I have created content. I took a little break from the channel. As you know, last week I went out of town. I was on my Rebirth channel doing some things, but I kind of took almost a week break off. I'm ready to get back into doing content. There's a lot of things that I got to talk about. I will be releasing videos for the next few days. In which I will be talking about things, and I may go live. I haven't created a live stream in a while, and I may have a conversation with you all just on whatever comes to mind. So today I've been inspired to kind of talk about holidays, celebrations. One that is dear to me is Juneteenth. We just come to the understanding that now our quote-unquote post-racial government just decided to make it a public holiday. Well, it was already a public holiday. We didn't need the federal government to mandate something that we as a people been celebrating for well over 300 years now. Well, over 200 plus years now. So we didn't need them to do that. Well, almost 200 years to be exact, just looking at the date. We didn't need them for that. Now the government gives you a little trinket. It's not quote unquote a federal holiday. It's a public holiday. So people still are not going to, people still have to work. They have federal jobs and jobs that are connected to the government or they receive federal funding. So I don't know what the big deal is. At one time, Martin Luther King Day was a public holiday before it became a federal holiday in observance, in which you actually had the day off. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. I remember going to school on Martin Luther King Day when I was a kid. I'm gonna be honest with you. Most black kids did not go to school on Martin Luther King Day. And they saw that a lot of black kids were not going to school, and that kept happening continuously until they decided, okay, we're going to make this a federal holiday. National productivity is just not what it is. If black workers are taking off, black kids are not going to school, black teachers are not going to school, we're going to make it a federal holiday. Same thing for Juneteenth. Particularly in certain states, particularly in where I think in Texas, where Juneteenth is probably the most popular. There are other states, and there's other southern states that celebrate it. In major urban cities, black people are not going to work on Juneteenth. And for myself, even though I don't operate the business on Juneteenth, I don't give a damn what's going on or how much money I can make. I have never worked on a Juneteenth, and I never will. That day is a day off. That's a federal holiday. That's a holiday because I own my own business. I make sure nobody works on that day because I'm not working. We're going to all, so I don't care what race, creed you are. We're not working that day. I treat that day as a federal holiday. It's sacred to me because it historically represents the ability for me to have the freedom to live and have the privileges and the rights that I have. But one thing that I do want to discuss today that I think is something that needs to be talked about, that is not discussed, is will we allow Juneteenth to turn into what Martin Luther King Day is? Martin Luther King Day now has become a day of that is declarated with capitalism. In many cities, white people are monetizing Martin Luther King Day. White people are taking control of the holiday itself, how it's been written in books, and how you celebrate it. Most of the parades in any urban area in cities, those parades are financed, operated, and controlled by the city and organizations that are not black. Matter of fact, there was a man in Houston by the name of, I think it's Onthal Dunkentail. who basically had to sue to have control of how Martin Luther King Day is celebrated in the city of Houston. So much that the non-black people that wanted to who control Martin Luther King Day decided to do their own thing. And Mr. Duncantel basically sued for the right to have the control of the city parade and how people were educated about the works of Martin Luther King so that it would not be diluted to fit the narrative that these people wanted you to believe of Martin Luther King. And to be honest with you, Martin Luther King, in my opinion, is probably one of the most miseducated figures in American history. There's so many things about Martin Luther King that has been misunderstood. There's so many things about Martin Luther King that has been lied about and untold truths. And the true story of Martin Luther King is not what America thinks it is. Martin Luther King was not as popular when he was alive as we would want him as we would want to believe. He was not. Martin Luther King was very unpopular until probably the latter half of his leadership in the civil rights movement. And by the way, he wasn't the only one. There were other people who were just as popular, and there were other pastors, and there were other people within the civil rights movement who were just as critical as to change as he was. Okay? So, my fear is that as popular as Juneteenth may become because it's now deemed as being a public holiday, other cities are going to take Juneteenth and turn it and manipulate it into something to fit a narrative that they want. They're going to monetize it. They're going to create t-shirts. They're going to create hats. They're going to create all kinds of things and all kinds of things that black people love to buy, particularly immigrants of all nationalities. They're going to sell your culture back to you. The bottom line is, why are you buying? And then they're going to be the majority culture that's going to take over, attempt to take over it. And before you know it, Juneteenth will not mean what Juneteenth really means. It's going to mean what other people want it to mean. And then Juneteenth will lose the true essence, is that it's representing the legacy of freedom, the struggle of freedom for African American people or African people that happen to be in America. That's my position. That's what I'm afraid of is going to happen. This is the next step toward it being a federal holiday. Once it becomes a federal holiday in which people are mandated to be off, then comes all of the capitalism and everything else that's going to mix into that day. And then it's going to start resembling Martin Luther King Day, in which you'll see people that don't look like Martin Luther King telling you what Martin Luther King did. But they won't tell you all of the pain, all of the violence, the threats, the day-to-day stressors that Martin Luther King had to go through by people that look like them. That's the trick. That's the trick of white supremacy. So this is D. Durrell, D. Durrell Life Solutions. Have a great day.